Trump could destroy the mainstream media with this. Earlier today, Donald Trump sued ABC News for defamation. And this could have massive repercussions. So let's talk about this. So Donald Trump suing ABC News and host George Stephanopoulos, Snuffleupagus, for defaming him during an interview with Representative Nancy Mace.
Wait. Now we're going to see the leftist media all of a sudden caring about free speech again.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen,
Exactly.
right? They hate free speech until they're pushed for it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm getting some popcorn. Okay, please continue.
I know. Well, I mean,
okay.
to me, and that's why I wanted to have this discussion, because I think there's a lot more here than just this lawsuit. I think it opens up a huge can of worms, and you're going to start to see the hypocrisy of the left in a moment. But so anyway, George Stephanopoulos. So I watched it this weekend, and during this appearance, and I was kind of stunned by it. I didn't think, though, that it would lead to this. And I didn't think about it in these terms, but some eagle-eyed observers were paying attention. So Donald Trump suing ABC News and host George Stephanopoulos separately for defaming him during an interview with Representative Nancy Mace. Now, the lawsuit stems from Stephanopoulos' questioning of Mace about being a rape survivor. So I'm going to play the full clip here, or just a chunk of the interview here. Now, I want to see if you can spot the moment. Let me know in the comments if you can spot the moment you think that this would set off alarm bells where Trump would sue Stephanopoulos. Watch.
I still get judged for it today.
I'm asking you a very simple question.
And I answered it. You're shaming me for my political choices.
I'm asking you a question about why you endorse someone who's been found liable for rape.
It was not a criminal court. This was a civil court. It was a civil court. And by the way, she joked about the judgment and what she was going to do with all that money, and I find that offensive.
I'm asking you about the man
as a rape victim who's been shamed for years now because of her rape, you're trying to shame me again by asking me this political question.
You've repeated that again.
I think it's offensive. As a woman, I find it offensive. My political choices, I've endorsed the man that I believe is best for our country. It's not Joe Biden. And you looked at the dueling rallies yesterday in Georgia. Laken Riley's family was with Donald Trump. They weren't with Joe Biden. The same guy yesterday that apologized for calling her killer an illegal, who wasn't illegal. And here you are trying to shame a rape victim. I find it disgusting.
I mean, you keep saying I'm shaming you.
You are. The question, it is.
How is the question asking you about a presidential candidate who's
You're asking a rape victim.
And there's no question about that. And you've courageously talked about that.
Because I've been raped. I think that's disgusting.
No, I'm questioning your political choices because you're supporting
me. You're
someone who's been found liable for rape. Actually, I'm not trying to shame you.
You are. That's exactly what you're doing.
You're not answering the question.
I think it's disgusting.
Well, you're welcome to say that, but you have to answer the question. Why are you supporting someone who's been found liable for rape?
I just answered your question.
What is the answer?
He was not found guilty in a criminal court of law. It was sexual abuse. It wasn't actually rape, by the way. And E. Jean Carroll joked about all the money she's going to get and made a mockery out of this case. And I think that's offensive. There's a reason why women don't come forward. And when you have someone who says that they're raped and they make a mockery out of this civil court judgment, it's offensive to other women. It makes it harder for other women to come forward when another woman has made a mockery of it.
You said women don't come forward because they are afraid. They are afraid because they are defamed by those who
you're trying to shame me this morning.
They are afraid to come forward, as you said, because they are defamed by those who commit the rape.
All right. So did you guys spot it? Now, it's amazing to me. I actually surprised how many times I heard it, because now I'm going to play it again here. I added some subtitles. This is the moment that Donald Trump decided to sue George Stephanopoulos. Watch.
Asking you a very simple question.
And I answered it. You're shaming me for my political choices.
I'm asking you a question about why you endorse someone who's been found liable for rape.
It was not a criminal court. It was a
civil court.
It was a civil court. And by the way, she joked.
So liable for rape.
Right.
No, that's not what they found. In fact, they didn't. They found him not liable for rape.
He was found liable for defamation.
So not rape.
No.
He was not found liable for rape. And judges and two separate juries, Stephanopoulos said, have found him liable for rape and for defaming the victim of that rape. How do you square that endorsement of Donald Trump with the testimony we just saw? He was not found liable for rape. So This is amazing because that statement is verifiably false. And here's the thing, right? So now this is very difficult, right? In a case like this, right? We can talk about this. The idea of defamation for a public figure, right? A public figure, Donald Trump is arguably one of the most famous people in the world. It's a different bar set for defamation for a public figure versus a non-public figure.
Right. And truth is an absolute defense, and he's lying.
Yeah.
George Stephanopoulos is not telling the truth.
And are we led to believe, though, that George Stephanopoulos doesn't know? Like he's an anchor of ABC News This Week, arguably one of the biggest political shows in the world. He was also the White House communications director under Bill Clinton, if you'll recall.
Yes.
So the idea that he wouldn't know, and he said it multiple times.
And well, intention matters here. And his intention clearly is to push this woman on why she's supporting Trump in order to prove that supporting Trump is a bad thing to do, which is so interesting, this line of questioning, because she could also say, I can't support Joe Biden, who has also been accused of sexual assault. And so why are you not asking me about Joe Biden's accusations? That's a fair question, right? So he's only pushing her about supporting one person, and his intention is to crap on Donald Trump, for lack of a better way to put that.
So the lawsuit says these statements that Stephanopoulos just made were and remain false, and were made by defendant Stephanopoulos with actual malice, with a reckless disregard for the truth, given that defendant Stephanopoulos knows that these statements are patently and demonstrably false, Trump's attorneys said.
It'd be pretty easy to prove, because probably you could rewind the tape and prove that he has covered this verdict before.
Right, exactly. You have tape. That's a great point. You have videotape of him covering this. He's and not just on that show on This Week, ABC's This Week, but also he's brought in as a political commentator across the network. He's their lead political commentator.
Right.
You mean to tell me the lead political commentator at ABC News doesn't know the facts of the case, in addition to which he's probably already covered it, in addition to which he served in the White House? By the way, I read his book years ago, because I like to read stuff by all these guys, and to understand their thought process. He talked about how he literally grew a beard because when he was White House press secretary, he couldn't handle the job. He became so nervous because he was like up there spouting lies every day.
Right.
So he broke out in a rash and he grew a beard. The reason that George Stephanopoulos grew a beard was because he was so nervous. I guess presumably because he was just spreading lies all the time. So he was just like, he couldn't handle it.
That's what happens when you spread propaganda in the Capitol. That's literally what happens in the Hunger Games to that snake lady.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess if you see George Stephanopoulos breaking out like in a red rash, he's, what he's up to. I don't know. So anyway, that's the case. But I think that this opens up a can of worms for ABC News and for mainstream media, because imagine where this goes then. You have people like Morning Joe doing a whole segment on bloodbath, knowing that they're lying about it, knowing and purposefully taking something out of context. And now, look, I'm a free speech absolutist here, so I want to be very careful about what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But my point is that if they're knowingly doing this to defame him and to hurt him on purpose, and they're willfully doing this and knowingly doing it. To me, that's where we rise to the level of criminality.
Well, it wouldn't be criminal, but yes, you're right. It would be easy to prove defamation. So what will happen with this then? Because the way the media covers it will have to be self-serving. And so they will then revert to freedom of speech, and it will be for us, not for you. And that's where we'll see this hypocrisy.
Well, it could rise to the level of criminality, by the way, if it's election interference.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you know what? That's a good point, because Michael Cohen went to jail for something like that.
Right.
So, okay.
So it might beyond be a civil. But anyway, my point is that this could really, really be, these guys dance around on this on a regular basis. And certainly the left loves to go after using lawfare to try to bring these people down. I mean, look what's happening with January 6ers right now.
Yeah, they're not going to like it when it happens to them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It'd be interesting. So circle back on what you had said earlier, which is this, the hypocrisy of the left. This could really open up a can of whoop ass on them.
Right. You might have to come back around on that free speech stuff that you really hate so much. We'll see.
Yeah. Let us know your thoughts on this.
I don't know that it's really going to stick, to be honest, because just because Kaplan came out and said, like a judge said that they see no difference in a rape or the sexual assault, that's just a legal definition. And because that judge said that, I could see where I guarantee you that's going to be their defense. They're going to come back and say, but Kaplan said there's no difference, so we don't have to make a distinction.
But it's not between rape or assault. It's between rape and defamation. He was only found guilty of defamation, and they weren't ever able
he was found liable for the sexual assault. That's what him denying, unless I got it wrong, that's what him denying happened, got him in the defamation case against E. Jean Carroll.
Was it?
I'll not sure exactly the fence walking on that. All I'm saying is, and we could have a Trump lawyer on about that if we reached out to his team on this, by the way.
But I can almost guarantee you that will be the defense that everybody comes to. Like if you watch the media, that's what they're going to bring up, is that statement by that judge. It wasn't like a legal decision, as far as I know. It was just like a clarification that the judge had made somewhere. I almost guarantee you that's going to be what they lean into hard.
Right.
Bill Miller brings up a good point. Didn't Rittenhouse try to sue for defamation? I don't know if he ever actually brought the lawsuit. Did he? I mean, I know he was going to. I know Tucker had asked him if he was going to, and I don't know. Did he ever actually bring the lawsuit?
I don't know.
Again, this is a really interesting discussion about public figures. Again, public figures versus private figures. If you're public, the bar for defamation, it's nearly impossible.
Kyle Rittenhouse was not one, so yes.
He was not a
public figure.
Public.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't public until he was made public.
Right.
But yeah, so... But yes, the bar is very, very high for public figures to prove defamation.
Right.
I mean, they've gone up. We've seen it against, the New York Times. We've seen defamation lawsuits against the New York Times that have failed because they just, it's free speech. So
yeah. I think that's all I absolutely want out of this is the media to eat its words about free speech that it has been, spouting for all of these years, especially during the pandemic. So we'll see.
Well, also, I would love for the media not to lie. I mean, if this even puts them in a pause moment where they're like, okay, I'm about to purposefully lie, like Rachel Maddow, and tell my audience something that's verifiably false about Russiagate or whatever. And if it forces them to pause and maybe not do that segment full of lies, and they have to reflect for a moment before they open their mouth.
Yeah.
I think that would be a win as well.
Yeah.
Because they know it might cost them $1 billion if they talk out of their mouth. You know?
I
really hope you enjoyed watching this video. YouTube thinks that you'll actually like this next video right here. It's personalized based on your own viewing habits. So if you watch the video, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think about it. And we will see you next time, everyone.